Oh,
This is Victor Blaine, please.
yeah, this is him.
Hi, this is Tammy at the Vital Records office in Colorado.
Yes.
I was returning your phone call. What can I help you with today?
Well, I was wondering, why isn't there a law that says you have to fill out the birth certificate?
You mean register a birth certificate?
I'm just wondering why there is not a law that says you have to fill out a birth certificate when your child is born.
Okay. Well, a lot of times children are born at home, and it's the parent's responsibility to register it, but
So is there a law that says that you have to register your child?
there is not, no. I mean, there's people that choose to not register it, and that's entirely up to them.
Yeah. Why is there not
Either.
the my
Why
so
is there not?
yeah, my question is, why is there not a law that says you have to register your child with the state?
I
Or
wouldn't
through
know
the,
the answer.
huh?
I wouldn't know the answer to that. I mean, that's kind of a the state legislatures would be the ones you would have to ask that
Yeah.
to.
So when a child is born, the doctors hand the parents the paper and they ask if you would fill that out, right? There's no law that says you have to?
Correct, yeah. I mean, so that's what is to register the birth certificate. So that's the paperwork you provide the hospital to say, okay, this is what we're going to name our child. This is the information on the mother. This is the information on the father. And that information is used to have the birth certificate registered.
Isn't that interesting that there is no law that says you have to? It almost, from my studies, it appears that those are contracts by which you enter into commerce with the international banker's jurisdiction, and now you have to pay federal income tax through this this birth certificate that was created, and it's all voluntary.
No, that's actually incorrect. I mean, the income taxes are done based off your Social Security number and your employment.
Yeah. In order to get a birth security number, you have to have a birth certificate, which is voluntary, correct?
The birth certificate, yeah, Social Security requires proof of identification and proof of citizenship, which a birth certificate can be used for that purpose, but it's not the primary document that is used.
Yeah, and I don't even think there's a
as
law that says that you have to have a Social Security number.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to work or obtain passports or driver's licenses, that's, you can, there's no penalties. You don't face jail time if you choose to not collect those information.
Yeah. So another thing I'm want to understand is that all this information from the birth certificate and Social Security card, which is all voluntary, is all entered onto state, for lack of a better word, contracts, the driver's license, birth certificate, identification, and other documents that enter you into business with the state. It would almost appear that since all these documents are used on those, that's all voluntary also.
Okay, well, I'm not quite sure I understand what you're asking, because our records are confidential, and I don't know what you mean by the term contract.
Yeah,
well,
it's something that you're agreeing to. You say you agree to these terms, so you sign the driver's license, agreeing to the terms. But so it's an agreement, or I can't remember the other name. It's a type of contract. So it almost appears to me that to enter into this system where people tell you what to do and you get benefits is all voluntary. And one thing that kind of puzzles me is that if it's voluntary and there's no law that says you have to enter in, why would an officer or any government agency for that matter try to force the laws that pertain to these instruments upon another man. And they use guns and force to do it.
Are you implying that the state of vital records that we use guns to force people to register birth certificates?
No, I'm saying that you're part of the government,
Right.
whether it's state controlled by federal, city controlled by federal, any, county controlled by federal. I think it's all falls under federal jurisdiction, and I think that it's all voluntary contract. And the interesting thing is there's no law that says you have to enter into contract, but yet they will try to force a contract on you when you violate one of their codes, regulations, statutes, which to my understanding are for people who are in contract. I know this is pretty deep. You've probably never been presented with this before, huh?
Yeah, I can answer questions relating to vital records and birth certificates and death certificates and marriages and divorces, but I have no knowledge of any of that information.
All right. Who would you recommend? Maybe I should call the Social Security. I actually did contact the Social Security in Connecticut about whether or not if we get a job that we have to have a Social Security number. And they told me that for the purpose of the federal income tax, you have to have a Social Security number. But there again, it does not say that you have to have one. It just says what it's telling me is if you want to voluntarily pay federal income tax, then yes, you're going to have. That's what that language is telling me. And what it appears to me is that when I talked with Ron at Vital Statistics, I asked him if there was a law that said you have to sign the birth certificate when your child is born and fill it out. He said, a certificate of birth for every live birth which occurs in this state must be filed with the state registrar. And he kept saying that over and over, and then finally I had to reword it and say, well, would I be lying if I told people you don't have to fill it out? So kind of the conclusion that I'm coming to is that it's kind of trickery. Like this language, this legal language is actually tricking people into giving up their rights and property.
Okay.
I mean, are you getting that from your conversation with me?
Yeah, I don't see how it relates to birth certificates, but I mean that's completely separate from what our functions are here.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
I'm just trying to learn. The school I went to never taught me nothing. I've tried asking government questions and they don't teach you nothing. So what happens is you're left to trying to figure this stuff out on your own. And then when you finally figure it out, it's almost like now to gain an understanding between you and the people who think they have authority over you is very difficult. It's next to impossible. It almost appears to me that the only way you're going to gain an understanding between you and the government is through the court. And it's a shame that it has to be that way because we were never taught procedure. So already the deck is stacked against anybody who figures it out, and they can no longer partake. Like me, I'm darn near homeless. I'm barely making it. And for me to take an entity to court and try to learn the court process, that's at my disadvantage because nobody ever taught me. They just taught me how to comply with the system. They never taught me the truth about the system. So now I'm stuck having to learn, well, how do I go about gaining my rights and my property back after I feel that they've been stolen through deception? So that's kind of been my goal here, is trying to gain back my rights and my liberty back after they've been, I've been tricked out of them. And I didn't understand. It's almost like the government took advantage of my ignorance, and they kept me ignorant.
Gotcha.
Have
do
you
you have any other questions?
No. Okay, that's it. Ma'am, Have you ever heard a quote? It goes, very soon every American will be required to register their biological property in a national system designed to keep track of the people that will offer security as a chargeback for our fiat paper currency. They will be our chattel, and we will hold the security interest over them forever by the scheme of law merchant. And it said, they will be a contributor to this fraud we will call social insurance. Have you ever heard that quote yet?
I have not, no.
Yeah, it's from Edward Mandell House, and that's kind of what's waking everybody up to the truth, is that now that we're suffering at the hands of bad government policy, there's not enough money in the economy for us to work and to the basic need of survival and taking care of ourselves. Then we end up on the street where cops arrest us because we can't afford to survive. And that's really the heart of the issue of this whole country right now, is that the very ability to survive has been taken from us, and now we're left to face officers who will arrest you no matter where you are because you're trespassing everywhere. And to me, that's oppression, where you do not allow, your policies haven't allowed us to take care of ourselves, and then you arrest us for it. I think that's really the heart of all the problems of this country right now.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I appreciate your time, ma'am.
You're welcome. You have a good rest of the day, okay?
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.